Hi guys, I'm here to do a book review on Wings by Aprilynne Pike. This is her debut novel. There's going to be spoilers in this, so if you don't want to watch it, go ahead and shut it off now. I'm going to go ahead. There's not much written, not much on the blurb and back of the book, but I'm going to read it to you anyways. Aprilynne Pike's Wings is a remarkable debut. The ingenuity of the mythology is matched only by the startling loveliness with which the story unfolds. That's a review by Stephanie Meyer. And the inside says, Laurel was mesmerized, staring at the pale things with wide eyes. They were terrifyingly beautiful, too beautiful for words. Laurel turned to the mirror again, her eyes on the hovering petals that floated beside her head. They looked almost like wings. In this extraordinary tale of magic and intrigue, romance and danger, everything you thought you knew about fairies will be changed forever. Okay, this book sounds good, and the cover is so pretty, but I did not like this book. Did not like this book. Oh, all I did was complain to my kids and my husband about it. I did not like this book. Okay. I took notes because I didn't want to get sidetracked and start going off on other things, but this is my second time recording this because the first time my memory got full, I was like 15 minutes. Obviously I was ranting a lot, so I don't want to double talk, and I'm going to try to get through this without it exceeding that. I don't even want to exceed 10 minutes. So let me run through quickly what the book was about. This will be a quick overview. Okay, Laurel is the main character. She's the one that is a fairy. She's also a plant. She was put on the doorstep of her parents, soon-to-be parents' house, when she was 3 years in humans or 7 years in fairies. The fairies put her there because they were trying to do like an experiment. So, of course, the parents found this baby on their doorstep and ended up adopting the baby after going through legal stuff, whatever. And up until Laurel was 15, she was homeschooled, and she's seen a doctor one time, and that was it. Her mom always treated everything with herbs and just all kinds of natural stuff. When she was 15, they moved, and she started public school. Well, they still had their other property, and they were trying to sell it. Well, she started public school. The first day of public school, she met this guy, David, and they became really good friends, like, from the get-go. So I don't know how long it was in after that, maybe a week or two after she started school. It could be a little bit longer, I don't remember, but she's 15 years old. She's never had her period or anything, and all of a sudden she gets this bump on her back, and she thinks it's a pimple, is it, which she's never had any of those before either. And she's like, great, you know, getting pimples, and I get one on my back. And she just kind of blows it off, and then a couple days go by, and it's getting bigger, and it's getting bigger, and pretty soon it's the size of a golf ball. And then one morning she wakes up, and she can tell the bump's not there, but there's something else there. She has a flower that has grown out of her back. That's the first thing I didn't like. A flower has grown out of her back, okay? And she's a little mystified by it, but that's about it. She's not upset, freaked out, anything. Like, if a flower grew out of my back, I would be freaking hysterical, okay? And no. And so she just tries to hide it. She kind of brings it down and wraps it up with a shirt or something like that, and off she goes to school. She finally ends up telling, and I don't remember why, but she ends up telling David. I think it was because she had to tell somebody, and he was her best friend. Now, mind you, she just met him, and I think maybe it was not even a month that's went by, and she decides that she can open up to him. Okay, I'm sorry, that's another thing. If somebody came up to me, I don't care if it was my best friend, my sister, whatever, and told me they had a flower growing out of their back, I would be a little concerned. And when she tells David that she has a flower growing out of her back, he was kind of like, cool. Yeah. He likes to do science stuff, and he has a microscope, so he took samples of her flower and to see if it was actually a flower or if she was what kind of cells it had in it, and it actually had plant cells in there. And during the meantime, like the beginning of all this stuff, they're getting ready to sell their old property. Well, for some reason, and I can't remember why, but Laura goes back to her old house. She's pulled back there, and she goes in the woods behind the house, and she stumbles upon a guy named Tamana. Yeah. Anyways, and he's beautiful, but he looks different. He's got some green going on in his hair, and I forgot what else it was, but he ends up telling her that he's a fairy, which she kind of takes just like David took to her, like, okay. I don't know if she accepted it so easily because she's got a flower growing on her back and she thinks anything's possible. And then he proceeds to tell her that she's also a fairy, but she's a plant. That's where she was a little like, how the heck can I be a plant? I'm breathing. Now, she wasn't upset and she wasn't like laughing at him like he was crazy. Like, okay, you're freaking crazy if you saying I'm a plant. She was more trying to, you know, prove that that wasn't true because she's breathing, she's human, this and that, and flowers don't talk, or plants don't talk, and da 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 da. And but yeah. So anyway, so she goes back and tells David what Tamana said, and for some reason I feel like I'm saying his name wrong. But yeah. So what does David do? Once again, oh well, let's see what kind of cells you have in your body. Not, okay, this is just getting weird. I think maybe you need to stay away from me. You guys are on something. No. So he takes samples. Like I said, he swabs the inside of her mouth. He takes a sample of her wing. And sure enough, they're plant cells. They're not animal cells. As he's doing this, he finds out that he can't hear her heart. And she has no pulse. So, oh, and then he goes to prick her finger and no blood comes out. It's clear. So she doesn't have blood in her either. And then they find out that she can hold her breath for a very long time because she really doesn't need to breathe too often. And also finds out that she takes in carbon dioxide like plants do, and she exhales oxygen. So they did that experiment too. So they find out all this adds up to how plants are. And she also has a weird eating habits where she only drinks Sprite or water, and she eats fruits and vegetables, and that's it. So, that's what's going on with that. Well, then the guy that's trying to buy her property, Laurel feels something's off about him. So her and David follow him. And he finds out, you know, he catches them following him. And he ends up basically beating them up, whatever. He's got superhuman strength and that. And he sends his two sidekicks to kill them. So they throw Laurel and David in the river and tie something on them so they'll sink down. Well, Laurel ends up getting them out of that, you know, because she can hold her breath for a long time. She ends up getting them out of that. They run back and tell Tamana about what happened. And Tamana's like, oh my gosh, that's a troll. And, you know, trolls are mean and trolls this and that. So he goes back to try to wipe out the 3 trolls. And he kills 2 of them, but the main one ends up shooting him and gets away. So David and Laurel bring him back to the other fairies so the other fairies can fix him. And in the meantime, one of the main fairies gives Laurel this magical elixir to give to her dad because her dad got really, really sick and is in the hospital because the troll that was trying to buy the property poisoned him. So, and also gave her this huge diamond to give to her mother. So her mother wouldn't have to worry about selling the property because now she'd have a lot of money. And so, and the reason her mom was trying to sell the property is because they needed the money. But the fairies don't want her selling the property because they have a magic portal on that property. So they have to keep the property. So that's that. So Laura goes back to the hospital and she gives her dad a couple of drops of this elixir. And her mom's like, what are you doing? Oh, don't worry about it. Dad's going to be healed. He's going to be fine. And then she gives her mom this big diamond. And her mom's like, where'd you get this? And that's another thing I hated. Because if my child came to me with a huge diamond like that, I would be like, what are you mixed up in? What is going on? I would be freaking out. But her mom kind of is okay. Hello? So yeah, her dad ends up getting healed, and the diamond is appraised at like $800,000, and they end up giving the land to Laurel in a trust. She ends up telling her mom that she's a fairy, and they don't say much about that. It doesn't show her telling her mom, but it just says that it took about 3 days to convince her mom. So I did not like this book. if it wasn't for the parts with the humans accepting so easily and so readily that that Laura was what she was, if they would fought it a little bit, questioned it a little bit more, been a little bit more in like shock about it, I think it would have made it a little bit better. But I did not like that part at all. I mean, they just accepted it like it was nothing. Also, I didn't like the part with the plant growing out of her back. The only purpose of that plant is so it can be pollinated, and that's how they reproduce. They said in the book that sex was just for fun, and then they pollinate by another male fairy putting his hands, because he has the pollen on his hands, into the female's flower that's on her back and pollinating it. And then when a bud produces, the female takes that bud, plants it in the ground, a flower grows up, and then there's a little baby in there. I just think that is so stupid. So completely stupid. Yeah. So, I'm sorry that I'm only skipping over this and that, but I know that this review is going to be long, and I don't want to go over again. So, if you have any more questions on it or that, just ask me. But read at your own discretion. I know a lot of people like it, but I wouldn't spend the money on buying it. I really wouldn't. It's just, no. No. So, yeah. Wings by Aprilynne Pike. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.